Every morning is a quiet doorway between who you were yesterday and who you choose to become today. Most people wake up and immediately allow the world to enter their mind. Notifications, worries, responsibilities, and noise rush in before their feet even touch the ground. But the moment you wake up is sacred. It is the moment when your mind is most open, most calm, and most powerful. What you tell yourself during those first minutes becomes the foundation of your entire day. Your mind is like a garden. If you plant strong thoughts, strength will grow. If you plant doubt, fear will grow. The world will always try to influence how you think, but the true power lies in learning to guide your own mind. When you speak to yourself with intention every morning, you begin to shape your identity, your actions, and eventually your destiny. The first thing to remind yourself is simple but powerful. Today is a new beginning. Yesterday may have been difficult. Maybe you made mistakes, maybe things did not go the way you expected. But the past has no power over this moment unless you carry it with you. The sun rises again each day without regret for the previous sunset. In the same way, you must allow yourself to begin again. When you wake up, say to yourself that today is a fresh opportunity to move forward. Not perfect, not easy, but new. And a new beginning always carries possibility. The second thing to tell yourself is that you are responsible for your mindset. Many people believe their mood depends on circumstances, other people, or luck. But the strongest individuals understand that their inner world is their own responsibility. You cannot control everything that happens around you, but you can always control how you respond. The moment you take ownership of your mindset, you stop being a victim of the day and start becoming the creator of it. Tell yourself each morning that your thoughts will not be controlled by fear, anger, or negativity. Instead, you will guide your thoughts with awareness and discipline. Another powerful reminder each morning is that progress is built through small steps. People often feel overwhelmed because they focus only on big goals and distant results. But a mountain is climbed step by step, not in one leap. Success is not created in one dramatic moment. It is built through consistent effort repeated over many days. When you wake up, tell yourself that you do not need to conquer the entire future today. All you need is one step forward. One focused action, one improvement. When you repeat this every day, those small steps transform into powerful momentum. It is also important to remind yourself that challenges are not enemies. Most people try to avoid difficulty, but growth only happens when you face resistance. A sword becomes strong through heat and pressure. A tree grows deeper roots during storms. In the same way, your character is built when life becomes difficult. So when you wake up, tell yourself that whatever challenges appear today are not here to destroy you. They are here to train you. Each obstacle is an opportunity to develop patience, discipline, and resilience. Another message you must repeat to yourself is that your focus determines your reality. The human mind has a powerful ability to notice what it searches for. If you constantly look for problems, you will see problems everywhere. If you look for opportunity, you will begin to see doors where others only see walls. Each morning, remind yourself to direct your focus toward what truly matters. Focus on growth instead of comparison. Focus on effort instead of excuses. Focus on solutions instead of complaints. When your focus changes, your experience of life begins to change as well. Gratitude is another powerful message to carry into the morning. Many people wake up immediately thinking about what they lack. More money, more success, more recognition. But when you constantly focus on what is missing, your mind remains in a state of dissatisfaction. Gratitude changes this energy. When you pause and acknowledge the things you already have, your breath, your body, the opportunity to live another day, you create a foundation of calm strength. Gratitude does not mean ignoring ambition. It means building ambition on a stable and peaceful mind. Another important truth to tell yourself every morning is that discipline is stronger than motivation. Motivation is temporary. Some days you feel excited and driven, but other days you feel tired or discouraged. If you depend only on motivation, your progress will be inconsistent. Discipline is different. Discipline means doing what must be done regardless of how you feel. When you wake up, remind yourself that your actions will not depend on mood. They will depend on commitment. Even a small disciplined action performed daily will lead to extraordinary results over time. You should also remind yourself that comparison steals peace. In the modern world, people constantly compare their lives to others. They measure their success against someone else's highlight reel. But every person walks a unique path. Your journey cannot be measured against another person's timeline. When you wake up, remind yourself that your only competition is the person you were yesterday. Instead of asking whether you are ahead of someone else, ask whether you are becoming stronger, wiser, and more focused than before. Finally, each morning remind yourself that your energy influences the world around you. Your presence affects the people you meet, the work you do, and the atmosphere you create. When you carry calm confidence, others feel it. When you bring positivity, it spreads. This does not mean pretending to be perfect or ignoring difficulty. It simply means choosing to bring your best attitude into each interaction. When you walk into a room with clarity and purpose, you become a source of strength, not only for yourself, but also for others. When you practice these reflections every morning, something subtle begins to change. Your days start with intention rather than reaction. Your mind becomes calmer, more disciplined, more aware, and over time, the way you speak to yourself becomes the foundation of the life you create. The world outside may remain unpredictable, but your inner world becomes steady and strong. Every morning begins with a moment of quiet power, even if most people do not recognize it. When your eyes open and your mind slowly becomes aware of the world again, there is a brief window where your thoughts are soft and unformed. In this moment, you have the ability to guide the direction of your mind before the noise of the day begins. Many people wake up and immediately reach for their phones, allowing messages, news, and distractions to fill their awareness. Without realizing it, they surrender control of their mindset before the day has even started. But those who understand the importance of the morning treat this moment differently. They use it to take command of their inner world. The double words you speak to yourself are not small things. They quietly shape your beliefs, your emotions, and your actions. If the first thoughts that enter your mind are filled with stress, doubt, or frustration, then your body and mind begin the day in a state of tension. Your energy becomes scattered. You move through the day reacting to circumstances instead of guiding them. But when you deliberately choose your thoughts, you build a stable foundation for everything that follows. Speaking to yourself with clarity and purpose is like setting the compass before beginning a long journey. Your mind is powerful, but it is also easily influenced. Without awareness, it absorbs whatever it is exposed to. Negative experiences from the past, fears about the future, and the opinions of others can all quietly shape the way you think. This is why conscious self-talk in the morning becomes so important. When you intentionally remind yourself of who you want to be and how you want to approach the day, you interrupt the automatic patterns of doubt and distraction. You begin to train your mind to follow your direction instead of wandering wherever it pleases. Consider how often people begin their day with thoughts of pressure. They immediately think about everything they must do, everything that might go wrong, and everything they feel they are lacking. Their minds become heavy before they even stand up. Over time, this habit creates a cycle of stress that feels impossible to escape. But the truth is that the mind can be trained in the same way the body can be trained. Just as muscles grow stronger through repetition, mental strength grows through repeated conscious thought. When you consistently speak empowering truths to yourself each morning, those truths begin to reshape the way your mind operates. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that life is always easy. Challenge will always exist. Responsibilities will always be present. But mastering your mind means learning how to approach these realities with calm awareness rather than emotional chaos. When you wake up and remind yourself that you have the strength to face whatever appears today, you create a sense of inner stability. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the unknown, you begin the day with quiet confidence. The mind often tries to return to familiar habits, even when those habits are negative. It may bring up past failures, reminding you of moments when things did not work out. It may whisper doubts about your abilities or your future. But these thoughts are not commands. They are simply patterns created by repetition. When you speak to yourself intentionally in the morning, you interrupt those patterns and replace them with new ones. You remind yourself that the past does not define the present moment. You remind yourself that growth is always possible. Another important part of mastering your mind is learning to observe your thoughts instead of blindly following them. When you wake up and sit quietly for a moment, you may notice many thoughts passing through your awareness. Some may be useful, but many will simply be noise. By practicing awareness, you begin to see that you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. This realization gives you freedom. Instead of being carried away by every worry or distraction, you can calmly choose which thoughts deserve your attention. Your morning thoughts also influence your physical state. When your mind is filled with stress and negativity, your body responds by creating tension. Your breathing becomes shallow, your muscles tighten, and your energy decreases. But when your thoughts are calm and intentional, your body relaxes, your breathing deepens, your posture improves, and your energy becomes more balanced. This calm next in between mind and body means that mastering your morning mindset affects not only your emotions but also your physical performance throughout the day. Consistency is the key to this practice. One positive morning will not transform your life instantly, but when you repeat this process day after day, the effects begin to compound. Gradually, your default mindset shifts. Instead of waking up feeling scattered and reactive, you begin waking up with clarity and purpose. Your mind becomes less influenced by temporary emotions and more guided by your chosen principles. People who master their minds each morning often appear calm even during stressful situations. This is not because their lives are free from difficulty. It is because they have trained themselves to maintain control over their inner responses. They understand that while the world outside may be unpredictable, the world inside can remain steady. Over time, this practice creates a powerful transformation. Your confidence grows not from external validation, but from the knowledge that you can guide your own mind. Your focus becomes sharper because you are no longer wasting energy on unnecessary thoughts. Your resilience strengthens because you begin each day grounded in awareness rather than fear. The morning becomes more than just the start of another routine day. It becomes a daily training ground where you strengthen your mind, refine your focus, and prepare yourself to face the world with discipline and clarity. Many people look at success and imagine that it is created by one big moment. They believe that one powerful decision, one sudden opportunity, or one burst of motivation will change everything overnight. Because of this belief, they wait. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect idea, or the perfect feeling of motivation before they begin. But life rarely changes in a single dramatic moment. Real progress is quiet. It grows slowly through small actions, repeated again and again. Think about the way nature works. A tree does not grow tall in a single day. Each day it grows a little, often so slowly that the change cannot be noticed. But after months and years, that small daily growth creates something strong and impressive. Human development works in the same way. The skills you build, the discipline you develop, and the progress you make are the result of small steps taken consistently. The problem many people face is not lack of ability, but lack of patience. They want to see immediate results. When they do not see quick success, they begin to doubt themselves. They think their efforts are not working, so they stop before the results have time to appear. But the truth is that success often hides inside small actions that seem insignificant in the moment. Imagine improving just a little each day. Just a small effort, a small lesson, a small step forward. At first, it may feel like nothing is changing, but those small improvements begin to accumulate. One day of discipline becomes 1 week. 1 week becomes 1 month. Over time, the difference between the person who practices small, consistent effort and the person who waits for big motivation becomes enormous. Small actions have a unique power because they are easier to repeat. When a goal feels too large, the mind becomes overwhelmed. Fear and procrastination appear because the task seems impossible. But when the action is small, the resistance becomes weaker. A single focused step feels manageable. Once you complete that step, the next one becomes easier. Progress begins to flow naturally. Discipline grows through repetition. Each time you complete a small action that moves you forward, you strengthen the habit of progress. Your mind begins to accept the idea that effort is normal, that growth is part of your daily life. Over time, these habits become automatic. You no longer rely on excitement or inspiration to take action. Your routine carries you forward, even on the days when motivation is low. It is also important to understand that small steps reduce fear of failure. When people aim only for huge achievements, they often become afraid of making mistakes. The pressure becomes too heavy, and they avoid starting altogether. But when progress is built through small actions, mistakes become part of the process rather than something to fear. Each step becomes an opportunity to learn and adjust. Instead of asking whether you can achieve something perfectly, you begin asking whether you can take the next step. Instead of worrying about the entire journey, you focus on the path directly in front of you. This focus brings calm to the mind because the task becomes clear and manageable. Consistency also creates confidence. Many people struggle with self-doubt because they lack evidence that they can improve. But when you take small actions every day, you begin to build proof. Each completed step becomes a reminder that you are capable of moving forward. Over time, this evidence strengthens your belief in yourself. Another powerful aspect of small, consistent effort is momentum. At the beginning of any journey, progress feels slow and difficult. The mind may resist and the body may feel tired. But once you build a routine, the effort begins to feel natural. Your energy becomes aligned with your goals. The momentum created by daily actions carries you forward, even when obstacles appear. Momentum is similar to pushing a heavy object. At first, it requires a lot of effort to move it even slightly. But once it begins to roll, maintaining the movement becomes easier. The same principle applies to personal growth. The first steps may feel uncomfortable, but continued effort gradually reduces resistance. Small actions also help you remain present. When your attention is focused only on distant results, your mind becomes restless. You constantly think about the future instead of appreciating the process. But when you concentrate on daily improvement, your awareness returns to the present moment. Each action becomes meaningful because it contributes to your development. This approach also protects your energy. When people try to change everything at once, they often exhaust themselves. They start with intense effort but cannot sustain it for long. Eventually, they become discouraged and abandon their goals. But small steps are sustainable. They allow you to maintain steady progress without overwhelming your mind or body. The beauty of small, consistent actions is that they transform ordinary days into opportunities for growth. Instead of waiting for special circumstances or dramatic breakthroughs, you use each day as a building block. Every effort becomes part of a larger process that gradually shapes your character and abilities. Over time, the results of this approach become visible. The discipline you practice daily begins to influence every area of your life. Your focus improves, your resilience grows stronger, your confidence becomes stable because it is built on repeated effort rather than temporary excitement. People often admire those who achieve great things, but they rarely see the quiet daily actions that made those achievements possible. Behind every strong skill, every successful project, and every confident individual are countless small steps taken when no one was watching. When you truly understand the power of consistent effort, your perspective changes. You stop searching for shortcuts and start trusting the process of steady improvement. Each day becomes a chance to move forward, even if the movement is small. And with time, those small steps quietly build a life of strength, progress, and meaningful success. Every person experiences the same world, yet each person lives in a completely different reality. The difference does not come from the outside environment alone. It comes from the way the mind interprets what it sees. Two individuals can face the same situation, the same challenge, or the same opportunity, but their experiences will be completely different depending on how they choose to view it. Perspective quietly shapes the meaning of everything that happens in life. The mind is like a lens through which you see the world. If the lens is clouded by negativity, fear, and constant comparison, then even good situations can appear disappointing. But when the lens is clear, focused, and calm, even difficult circumstances can reveal opportunities for growth. Understanding this truth gives you a powerful advantage, because it means that the quality of your life is not determined only by events, but by the way you interpret them. Many people fall into the habit of focusing on what is missing in their lives. They look at others and feel that they are behind. They see someone else's success and begin measuring their own progress against it. In the modern world, this habit has become even stronger because people are constantly exposed to carefully selected images of other people's achievements. They see the results, but rarely see the years of effort, failure, and learning that came before those results. Comparison quietly steals peace from the mind. When you constantly measure your life against someone else's journey, you forget that every path is unique. Every individual begins from a different starting point, faces different challenges, and moves at a different pace. Expecting your life to unfold in exactly the same way as someone else's creates unnecessary pressure and frustration. When you shift your perspective away from comparison, something important happens. Your attention returns to your own path. Instead of asking why someone else is ahead, you begin asking how you can improve today. Instead of feeling discouraged by someone else's progress, you begin feeling inspired by the possibilities that exist through consistent effort. This small shift in perspective creates a powerful change in motivation and focus. Another important aspect of perspective is the way you view challenges. Most people immediately label difficulties as negative experiences. When problems appear, they feel unlucky, frustrated, or discouraged. But challenges are often the very situations that shape strength, wisdom, and resilience. Without resistance, growth becomes impossible. Consider how physical strength develops. Muscles grow only when they are challenged by resistance. Without that resistance, the body remains the same. The same principle applies to the mind and character. When life becomes difficult, it creates an opportunity to develop patience, discipline, and problem-solving ability. Each obstacle becomes a form of training that prepares you for greater responsibilities and greater achievements. Seeing challenges as opportunities does not mean pretending that difficulties are easy. Pain, disappointment, and uncertainty are natural parts of life. But perspective determines whether those experiences weaken you or strengthen you. When you view a challenge as a lesson rather than a punishment, your mind becomes calmer and more focused. Instead of asking why something is happening to you, you begin asking what it is trying to teach you. Gratitude also plays an important role in shaping perspective. The human mind has a natural tendency to notice problems more easily than blessings. This tendency, helped human beings survive by keeping them alert to danger. But in modern life, it often leads to constant dissatisfaction. People achieve goals, gain opportunities, and experience moments of joy. Yet their minds quickly shift to the next problem or the next desire. Practicing gratitude changes this pattern. When you take time to acknowledge what is already present in your life, your awareness begins to shift. You begin to notice opportunities instead of only obstacles. You begin to appreciate progress instead of focusing only on what remains unfinished. Gratitude creates balance in the mind, allowing ambition and contentment to exist together. Perspective also influences the way you respond to mistakes. Many people see failure as proof that they are not capable. One mistake becomes a reason to stop trying. But those who achieve meaningful growth see mistakes differently. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the path toward it. Each mistake contains information that helps you improve. When you adopt this perspective, failure loses its power to discourage you. Instead of seeing mistakes as signs of weakness, you begin seeing them as instructions for improvement. Your focus shifts from protecting your pride to developing your abilities. This mindset allows you to continue moving forward, even when progress is slow. Another powerful aspect of perspective is the way it shapes your emotional state. When you constantly focus on negative possibilities, your mind becomes anxious and tense. You begin expecting problems before they appear. This expectation drains your energy and weakens your confidence. But when you train your mind to look for possibilities and lessons, your emotional state becomes more stable. A calm and optimistic perspective does not mean ignoring risks or challenges. It simply means approaching life with the bell. I am that growth is always possible. This belief creates resilience. Even when situations become difficult, you maintain the confidence that solutions can be found and progress can continue. Over time, the perspective you practice becomes the lens through which you see every experience. If your lens is shaped by gratitude, patience, and self-improvement, the world begins to appear full of opportunities for learning and growth. Situations that once seemed discouraging become valuable experiences that strengthen your character. The external world will always contain uncertainty. Circumstances will change, plans will sometimes fail, and challenges will appear unexpectedly. But your perspective remains one of the few things you can truly control. By training your mind to see lessons instead of limitations, progress instead of comparison, and gratitude instead of constant dissatisfaction, you begin to shape a reality that supports both inner peace and long-term success. Every morning, you are given a quiet moment before the world begins to demand your attention. In that moment, you hold more power than you realize. The thoughts you choose, the words you speak to yourself, and the perspective you adopt become the foundation upon which your entire day is built. Life does not suddenly transform through one dramatic event. It changes through the way you guide your mind, the small actions you repeat, and the meaning you give to every experience. When you learn to master your mind each morning, you stop allowing circumstances to control your emotions. Instead of reacting to every challenge with stress or doubt, you begin to respond with calm awareness and confidence. You remind yourself that your mindset is your responsibility. The outside world may be unpredictable, but your inner world can remain steady and focused. Through small and consistent actions, you slowly build the life you desire. Each step may seem small in the moment, But over time, those steps create powerful momentum. Progress is rarely loud or dramatic. It is quiet, steady, and patient. The discipline you practice today becomes the strength you rely on tomorrow. And when you shape your perspective wisely, even the difficult moments begin to carry meaning. Challenges become lessons, mistakes become guidance, and the success of others becomes inspiration instead of comparison. Gratitude keeps your mind grounded while ambition pushes you forward. In this balance, you develop both inner peace and unstoppable determination. The truth is that success and fulfillment are not distant destinations waiting somewhere in the future. They are built in the way you think, the way you act, and the way you choose to see the world every single day. Every sunrise offers another chance to reset your focus, strengthen your discipline, and move one step closer to the person you are capable of becoming. So when you wake up tomorrow, before the noise of the world begins, pause for a moment and remind yourself who you are choosing to be today, because the way you begin your morning quietly shapes the life you will eventually live. Win the morning, and you slowly win your entire life. Life, time material.